welcome to the Business Summer Series. I'm Elise Morgan. In this program, we'll take a look at the effect COVID-19 has had on some things we thought might never change, including when working from home is working a little too well. What does that mean for office space in a post-pandemic world? Plus, couch potato or elite professional, an unreal look at esports, which is seeing world-class athletes competing from their lounge rooms. As COVID-19 hit and people were forced into lockdown, changes happened pretty quickly as we reassessed what added value to what now seemed much smaller lives. And as the saying goes, never waste a crisis. It turns out that small comforts like crumpets and pets have been a go-to for spending throughout 2020. So Stephanie Chalmers checked in with businesses big and small who are thriving.
I'm Myrna Toke from Crumpets by Myrna. My business is all about making the most delicious crumpets we can. A large chunk of our business, about 80% of it, was airlines, cafes, restaurants prior to COVID-19. We knew we had to change our business strategy because obviously there was no orders. People were trying to give stock back to us, which we couldn't take. So we really had to think quick.
Tell you what, the toys are just going off at the moment, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Petbarn Green Cross is the largest pet specialty business in Australia. I've been with the business for about 9 years now. I've started at store 34, so we've got 214 stores now. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Retail. But probably the best part of my job is I'm the chairperson of the Petbarn Foundation. I think, like the general community, there was this growing awareness of an issue. We knew very early on because we deal with lots of suppliers in China.
The weeks were really stressful, lots of sleepless nights. Being able to offer people different packs online was definitely a godsend for us. We partnered with our sister company, which is Pepe Saya Cultured Butter. And what goes better with a crumpet but butter?
We actually thought that we had a bit of a bubble on our hands, that people were panicking, they were going to pantry fill, and then we would get an associated drop at the other end, and that drop just hasn't happened. You know, we do same-day delivery now that we didn't offer that 4 months ago. We've launched WebVet in our vet business. We've turned on things like contactless click and collect.
We weren't set up for the amount of orders that we were getting. We were lucky to get maybe 20 orders a week. Our business week over Easter, I think, was over 1,400 orders in 1 week. So you can imagine not having the proper system in place, the chaos it caused. But, you know, we got through it. Our sales definitely grew. So that was really surprising for us.
We always joke about in dog years, you know, I don't say I've been here for 10 years, I say I've been here for 70 years. And it's been like that. The team have stepped up. We've rolled out all of these initiatives. It's tiring, long days, but with a group of people that you enjoy with that are stepping up, then life's good. I
did wish it was a dream that I was going to wake up from, but unfortunately it wasn't a dream, and extremely lucky that I had a great team behind me, and it was either sink or swim, and I think we swam all the way.
Well, one of the most noticeable changes was in CBDs, which were left deserted as most office staff were ordered home. As finance correspondent Phil Lasker found out, that led to a suburban renaissance, which flowed through to spending and rents.
We're going to play with the ball. It's going to be very fun.
Terry Rawnsley is at work, and this is his lunch break. As an economist, he studied the change in spending patterns triggered by COVID.
Over here, Dad!
Terry's Melbourne CBD office has been deserted since March. Now his office is just a few metres away from where he's entertaining his children. The Stage 4 lockdowns have imposed tougher restrictions on his movements, but before that, he was doing what people all over the country are doing.
Spending more money at the local cafes and restaurants for a bite to eat, and also spending more money at the supermarket and sort of making more food at home.
Almost every second customer will come in and go, oh, you've opened up through COVID, like, why did you do that? But they still come in and buy something from us.
Arkan Yusuf opened his bakery a month ago in Sydney's southern suburbs opposite a train station. Even he expected to be struggling initially, But more people are around and he's benefiting.
At the moment, our customers, they want the birthday cakes, they want some bread for the day, they come out for a coffee just to get out of the house and things like that. So our customers are just all the locals.
Since March, consumer spending on incidentals like coffees, lunches and alcohol has been diverted from the CBD to the suburbs. In Melbourne, it amounts to at least $250 million. In Sydney, it's more like $400 million. A regional map of Melbourne shows a massive 26% fall in CBD spending, while areas outside the CBD have had strong increases of more than 10% despite the harsh lockdowns. And it's a similar story in Sydney.
Spending data shows that COVID has been a disaster for the CBDs, but led to a renaissance in the suburbs, where cafes and shops are filling up with workers working from home.
This is one of two shops in Sydney started by coffee aficionados Dean Wooding and Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it was an opportunity that we just took and went for it and backed ourselves, and here we are 5 years later, two shops.
But turnover has plunged in their city store. They say people in Sydney are spooked by events in Victoria, so there's a reluctance to return to the CBD. It's the NEWSThe in the beachside suburb of Bondi that's keeping the business afloat.
It's definitely helped us get through the last 6 months, because without Bondi we wouldn't have made it. Our city store is trading at a 90% loss.
But it's not just cafes and supermarkets giving the suburban life a boost.
You might have seen, your doctor or dentist at lunchtime in the CBD. Some of those might have been shifted into service providers in your local suburb.
And the rental market reflects the impact of the move away from the CBD in the East Coast capitals. The further away from the CBD, the more resilient the rental market, particularly for units. It's a similar pattern for houses, although a major factor undermining CBD rents is the collapse in both international and domestic immigration. But there are other causes.
Potentially there is some draw card away from the city when we see that outer suburban rental markets tend to be cheaper, they tend to be lower density. And of course, with the normalisation of remote work through the pandemic, that's meant that proximity to the CBD hasn't been as important in housing decisions.
No deserted footpaths or empty streets here. It's the suburbs.
Well, with the suburbs enjoying a renaissance of sorts, what did that mean for the 18 million square metres of office space in Australia's capital city CBDs? Nationally, less than half of that space is being used still. So will city business districts ever recover to pre-pandemic levels, or will COVID mean the death of the office? Rachel Papazoni reports.
It was only a couple of years ago professional services firm EY moved into one of Sydney's newest premium office buildings. Before March, more than 2,000 EY staffers worked in this skyscraper across 23 floors. Then the pandemic reached Australia and they all went home.
We had a really clear view on what we wanted to do, and that was about saving lives and then also saving jobs.
EY is now trying to determine what its workspace will look like post-COVID.
Absolutely. There's got to be a reason to get out of bed.
Which means CBD offices will need to offer something more to employees than a desk, chair and computer.
Offices are 100% going to have to shift and adjust for this. Sitting there and bashing out 8 hours of work on your laptop, why bother? We can do that at home.
While video conferencing has become part of daily life for professionals in 2020, the office isn't going to disappear completely. Surveys have found virtual meetings can't replace the effectiveness of face-to-face meetings and group work, as well as the mental health benefits of socialising with colleagues in the office. Almost half of EY's 8,000 Australian employees want remote working to become the default and only go into the office for specific purposes like client meetings or team building. And that sentiment is global. Boston Consulting Group surveyed 12,000 employees. 60% want to choose where and when they work, while international recruitment firm Adecco's survey showed 75% want that flexibility. When workers do eventually go back to the office, they're going to have more space. Real estate firm JLL predicts the number of seats in corporate workspaces will fall from 91 to 82 for every 100 workers.
Hey team, how was the sales meeting this morning?
Office designers agree workspaces have fundamentally changed forever.
Previously, offices were about 70% of the floor space devoted to focus desks. We see that dropping quite substantially, probably as low as 30 or 40%.
In their place, more communal areas for teamwork.
Things like open plan benches, project areas, team areas for people to work on things together.
While CBDs remain mostly empty, office real estate values are falling.
For prime grade office buildings, our expectation is in the order of around 5 to 7%. For secondary grade assets where we see greater income risk moving forward, we do believe that values could fall anywhere between 15 and 20%.
Tenants are already trying to cut costs.
So we are seeing a number of organisations downsize and looking at their real estate footprint, which has led to an increase in what we call sublease availability.
One of the corporate casualties of COVID, Qantas, is looking to sublet 25,000 square metres of office space here in Sydney as well as Melbourne and Hobart. It's also started a bidding war between the states, announcing it's considering relocating these Sydney headquarters.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of companies may not survive, and that will have an impact on vacancy in the CBD.
One of Australia's largest corporate property owners investor says while the office isn't dead, the relationship between landlords like themselves and tenants will change.
We have to look at ways and means of being a little bit more flexible in how we allow tenants to contract and expand.
With social distancing now a permanent part of our lives, until there's a vaccine, offices like EY's will continue to sit mostly empty.
We just could not fit all the people back into the EY offices tomorrow, even if they all wanted to come in, because we don't have the space.
Well, something else that requires less space is esports. No longer a niche activity for lounge lizards, it's generating billions. Virtual cycling software Zwift is valued at more than $1 billion US. It's just one of several online sports shifting up a gear. Esports are becoming so mainstream now, they may be included at the Olympics.
Jess Pratt can't wipe the smile off her face. The 22-year-old went from being a nurse in Brisbane to a pro cyclist in Europe with the Canyon SRAM team.
I sort of pinched myself. I was working in a ward as a brand new registered nurse and that sort of thing. I never imagined that I could turn professional. I'd nearly given up that dream.
Pratt won a virtual competition that gives amateurs the chance to win a professional racing contract.
We will see some unique athletes come out of this and take things to a world stage from their lounge room, living room.
Well, there we go, Jess Pratt moving to the front.
It's opened new opportunities for Pratt. During lockdown, she took part in the world's first virtual Tour de France. She's also been named in the Australian team for the inaugural Cycling Esports World Championships in December, an elite competition that will be raced from competitors' homes. Like the virtual Tour de France, the World Championships will take place on the Zwift platforms. And the next goal? The 2028 Olympic Games. The cycling app has a reported value of more than $1 billion after it raised $625 million in funding from investors. This form of e-racing is also being hailed as a game changer for gender parity in sport.
What esports offers is absolute equality. So the women and men race equal distances. The broadcast is completely equal, as is the prize money.
Former world champion and Olympic cyclist Kate Bates runs a virtual cycling group for women. She says more women are becoming professional e-athletes.
You can now have maternity leave, you can have a normal career, and you can continue to be a professional athlete in a way that we've just never had access to.
A brave new world of esports where anyone can train to be a pro, anywhere and anytime they want.
Well, COVID-19 has brought huge changes to our work life, home lives and activities, and it's not over yet. The business team will continue to bring you the latest business and economic stories throughout summer online. You can head to the ABC News website and click on the business page. And we look forward to seeing you when we return on air on February 1. I'm Elise Morgan. Thanks for watching.